When a storm is coming, a crisis hits, or the news says something nobody wanted to hear, most people do the same thing. They get in the car and drive to a store. The problem is that everyone else is doing exactly the same thing, to exactly the same stores, at exactly the same time. Some of those stores become genuinely dangerous places to be. Others are quietly fine. Here are 12 everyday stores you should avoid during a panic, and 4 that are safe. Stores to avoid. Avoid number 1. Walmart Supercenter. Walmart is the largest retailer in the world by revenue and the single most visited store in America on a normal day. On a panic day, it becomes something else entirely. The combination of a massive customer base, a broad product mix that includes groceries, water, batteries, medicine, and hardware, and a store layout that requires navigating the equivalent of several city blocks to get from the entrance to anything useful makes Walmart one of the worst places to be when collective anxiety hits. The data from documented panic events backs this up consistently. During the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic in March 2020, Walmart stores across the United States reported stripped shelves within hours of national emergency declarations. Toilet paper, hand sanitizer, bottled water, canned goods, and cleaning supplies disappeared from stores that typically carry them in enormous quantities. The company's supply chain, which is genuinely one of the most sophisticated logistics operations in the world, could not restock fast enough to keep pace with the rate of purchase. Empty shelves, long checkout lines, and parking lots that functioned as holding areas for anxious shoppers became the normal experience. Beyond the supply issue, Walmart's crowd dynamics during a panic are genuinely difficult to navigate. A typical Walmart supercenter is between 100,000 and 200,000 square feet. On a panic shopping day, that space fills with thousands of people all moving with urgency toward the same sections of the store. Water aisle, canned food aisle, paper goods aisle, pharmacy, cart collisions, aisle blocking, and the occasional confrontation over the last available item are not hypothetical. They are documented and filmed and posted online with regularity every time a significant weather event or public health alert affects a major metropolitan area. There is also the parking lot problem. Walmart parking lots are large and poorly designed for high-volume panic conditions. The combination of customers arriving simultaneously, struggling to find parking, and leaving with overloaded carts creates a situation where the exterior of the store is as chaotic as the interior. In many suburban markets, Walmart sits inside a shared retail corridor alongside a Home Depot, a gas station, and a CVS, all of which are simultaneously drawing the same surge of panicked shoppers. Traffic management studies of the 2017 and 2018 hurricane seasons in Florida and Texas documented retail corridor gridlock as a secondary emergency management problem in its own right. When the access lanes into a shared parking lot back up, you can spend 20 minutes just getting into the parking lot before the real ordeal begins. If you need to go to Walmart for supplies, the optimal strategy is to go before the panic begins, which requires paying attention to conditions and acting early, or to go after the first wave has passed, typically 24 to 48 hours, into an event when shelves are being restocked and the initial surge has settled. Going during the peak of a panic is almost always the least efficient and most stressful option available. Avoid number 2, Costco and Sam's Club. Warehouse clubs occupy a specific and particularly chaotic position during panic events because of a feature that is normally their greatest strength: bulk packaging. When people decide they need to stock up on water, rice, canned goods, and paper products, the instinct is to go somewhere that sells those things in quantities large enough to actually matter. Costco and Sam's Club are exactly that place, which is why, within hours of any significant panic trigger, their parking lots become parking nightmares, and their most critical aisles become obstacle courses. Costco in particular has a documented history of implementing purchase limits during crises, limiting customers to 1 or 2 units of water, paper towels, or certain food staples per transaction. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Costco stores in major markets were implementing purchase restrictions within days of the WHO declaring a global health emergency in March 2020. Lines formed outside stores before opening. Some locations reported wait times of over an hour simply to enter the building. The membership model, which normally keeps store traffic manageable, provides no protection against collective human behavior during a crisis. The cart-to-aisle ratio at warehouse clubs is also worth considering. Costco's carts are enormous, designed for bulk purchases that fill them high and make them difficult to steer. In narrow warehouse aisles during panic conditions, those carts become genuine hazards. Add the forklift traffic that keeps the warehouse floor stocked, and you have a physical environment that is stressful under normal circumstances, and significantly more so when everyone around you is operating with urgency. Sam's Club has broadly similar dynamics, with the additional complication of being located in Walmart parking lots in many markets, meaning the external congestion from both stores compounds simultaneously during a shared panic event. Avoid number 3, Home Depot and Lowe's. Before a major storm, particularly a hurricane, ice storm, or blizzard, Home Depot and Lowe's become ground zero for a specific category of panic purchasing: generators, plywood, batteries, tarps, rope, flashlights, and any portable power or heating equipment the store carries. The demand spike for these items before a named storm can be extraordinary. FEMA and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration have both documented the phenomenon. Generator sales at major home improvement retailers increase by 500 to 1,000% in the 72 hours before a significant storm makes landfall in an affected region. The problem with Home Depot and Lowe's during pre-storm panic is that the items people most urgently want are typically the items that run out first and cannot be quickly restocked. Generators are the clearest example. A typical Home Depot store carries somewhere between 20 and 50 portable generators. In the 24 hours before a hurricane landfall, all of them can sell out. The next shipment is days away. Customers who arrive after the initial wave find empty shelving and staff who are genuinely unable to help them because there is nothing to sell. The stores also become physically difficult to navigate during pre-storm periods because of stocking activity. Both chains make aggressive efforts to pre-position high-demand items near store entrances and to restock throughout the day before a storm. This means pallets in the aisles, forklift activity, and the general controlled chaos of a high-volume receiving operation happening simultaneously with high-volume customer traffic. As one Home Depot store manager in Florida was quoted saying during the 2017 hurricane season, "We train for this. We pre-position. But there's a limit to what we can do when 300 people all want the same 10 generators." If you need storm supplies from a home improvement retailer, the time to get them is well before the storm becomes headline news. By the time a storm is being discussed on national weather broadcasts, the most critical items are often already selling fast or already gone. Avoid number 4, Target. Target occupies a middle position in the retail landscape. Not quite a full grocery store, not quite a Walmart, slightly more upscale in presentation. During a panic, that middle position creates specific problems. Target carries many of the items people want to panic purchase: bottled water, canned food, medicine, cleaning supplies, paper goods, but in quantities considerably smaller than a Walmart supercenter or warehouse club. The shelves are proportionally smaller, the stock depth is shallower, and the replenishment timeline is not faster. What this means in practice is that Target runs out of critical items faster than Walmart and restocks at roughly the same pace, creating a window where the store is crowded with people looking for things it has already sold. Target's wide aisle layout, which makes it pleasant to browse normally, works against it in panic conditions. The openness of the store makes the intensity of the shopping environment more visible and more contagious. Avoid number 5, Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is a beloved grocery chain with a loyal customer base and a store model built around small format, high density, and a curated product selection that eliminates most of the redundancy you'd find in a conventional supermarket. There is typically one type of peanut butter, not 20. One style of canned tomatoes, not 6. Under normal conditions, this makes Trader Joe's efficient and pleasant. During a panic, it becomes a pressure cooker. The stores average around 10,000 to 15,000 square feet, roughly 1/10 the size of a Walmart supercenter. They are designed for a specific volume of customer traffic. When that volume is exceeded, the narrow aisles fill quickly. The single-lane checkout structure creates lines that extend back through the store, and the limited stock depth means that essential items disappear faster than at larger format competitors. Trader Joe's also carries a relatively limited selection of the specific items most commonly purchased during a panic: bottled water, canned staples, batteries, cleaning supplies, because its product philosophy prioritizes its own branded items and specialty foods over commodity staples. If you arrive at a Trader Joe's during a panic looking for cases of water and canned beans, you may find that the store's inventory was never deep enough to survive the first hour of panic purchasing, regardless of how early you arrived. The parking lot situation at most Trader Joe's locations compounds the problem. The company's real estate strategy tends to favor dense urban and suburban locations with smaller footprint parking, which is fine on a Tuesday afternoon and catastrophic on the day everyone decides to stock up simultaneously. Avoid number 6, Whole Foods Market. Whole Foods has a similar small format problem to Trader Joe's with the additional factor of pricing. During a panic event, Whole Foods is not where most people choose to spend their emergency food budget. Organic canned beans at twice the price of conventional alternatives is a luxury that urgency tends to eliminate. But the customers who do go tend to go hard, and the store's limited inventory of commodity staples empties quickly regardless. The more significant issue with Whole Foods during a panic is its Amazon integration. Since the 2017 acquisition, Whole Foods locations have become increasingly tied to Amazon's delivery infrastructure. During high-demand events, inventory that would normally sit on the shelf for retail customers is being simultaneously pulled for delivery orders placed through Amazon Prime. The shelves can empty faster than the visual experience of the store suggests because a meaningful percentage of available inventory is being routed to online orders before you get there. Avoid number 7, CVS and Walgreens. Pharmacy chains occupy a specific niche in the panic purchasing ecosystem that makes them simultaneously appealing and terrible choices during a crisis. They are ubiquitous. CVS operates more than 9,000 locations in the United States, and Walgreens operates more than 8,700. And they carry a narrow category of items that become extremely high priority during certain types of emergencies: over-the-counter medicines, first aid supplies, hand sanitizer, thermometers, masks, and medications. During the COVID-19 pandemic, CVS and Walgreens were among the first stores to experience complete depletion of hand sanitizer, masks, and cold and flu medications within days of the WHO emergency declaration in March 2020. The stores are not designed for the kind of bulk traffic that a panic generates. Their aisles are narrow, their checkout systems are oriented toward individual transactions rather than high-volume throughput, and their stockrooms are small relative to the demand that can materialize in a crisis. The pharmacy counter itself becomes a separate problem during health-related panics. People who need prescriptions and people who are trying to stock up on over-the-counter medications are sharing the same physical space while both operating with urgency. Wait times for pharmacy services that are normally 15 to 20 minutes can extend to hours during a health crisis when prescription demand spikes simultaneously with over-the-counter panic purchasing. If you need medications that require a pharmacy specifically, there is no alternative. But it is worth knowing that the same dynamic plays out at supermarket-based pharmacies, the counters inside Kroger, Safeway, and Albertsons, with an added layer of difficulty. Those pharmacy counters are embedded inside grocery stores that are simultaneously experiencing their own panic-driven demand surge. You are navigating a chaotic grocery environment to reach a pharmacy counter that is itself backed up, passing stripped medicine and cleaning supply aisles in both directions. If you have prescriptions to fill during a developing crisis, fill them early and use mail-order pharmacy services where available. If you need over-the-counter items, those are almost always available at Walmart, grocery stores, and dollar stores in quantities that are less likely to be depleted than at a dedicated pharmacy chain. Avoid number 8, Dollar General and Dollar Tree. Dollar stores are counterintuitive entries on the avoid list because they seem like low-stakes environments. Small stores, inexpensive merchandise, relatively thin customer traffic under normal conditions. During a panic, their small size is exactly the problem. Dollar General and Dollar Tree stores typically range from 7,000 to 10,000 square feet. They carry a narrow selection of food staples, cleaning products, and basic household items in small quantities. When 100 people descend on a Dollar Tree simultaneously looking for cleaning supplies and canned goods, the store is out of relevant inventory within the hour, and there is no stock room with meaningful backup supply. Dollar stores also typically operate with minimal staff, often 2 or 3 employees per shift, which means that when customer volume spikes, the checkout situation deteriorates rapidly. A single register with a line extending back through the store is a common panic day experience at dollar store formats. The one exception worth noting, Dollar General has expanded its food offerings significantly in recent years, and in rural areas where it may be the closest available retail option, it becomes a more relevant choice regardless of the panic dynamics. But in markets where other options are accessible, dollar stores offer the worst combination of limited inventory and inadequate throughput capacity for high-volume events. Avoid number 9, gas stations with convenience stores. The intersection of fuel panic and food panic at gas stations creates a specific type of chaos that makes them worth listing separately. Before a major storm or during a significant supply disruption, fuel lines at gas stations can extend for blocks. The convenience store component becomes simultaneously relevant as people decide to grab food and water while they're waiting, which means the same people experiencing fuel anxiety are also competing for the limited shelf space of a 1,500 square foot convenience store. Gas station convenience stores are not stocked for emergency purchasing. They carry a narrow selection of packaged snacks, beverages, and basic items with minimal depth. During Hurricane Katrina in 2005, during Superstorm Sandy in 2012, and during multiple regional fuel disruptions since, gas stations became focal points of acute stress. Long lines, occasional confrontations, and in some documented cases, physical altercations over fuel priority. The advice here is straightforward. If you need fuel, get it before the panic begins. A full tank requires no standing in line and no competing with anxious people for the last available pump. If you are already in a fuel panic situation, be aware that the convenience store attached to the gas station will not solve your food supply problem, and that the combined stress environment of a fuel line and a depleted convenience store is one of the more unpleasant places to spend an afternoon. Avoid number 10, pharmacies inside grocery stores. Kroger, Safeway, Albertsons. This is a variant of the CVS and Walgreens problem with an added layer of complexity. Supermarket-based pharmacies. The pharmacy counters inside Kroger, Safeway, Albertsons, and similar chains experience the same demand surge for prescription medications and OTC items during a health crisis, but they are embedded inside a grocery store that is simultaneously experiencing its own panic-driven demand surge. The result is that you are trying to navigate a chaotic grocery store environment to reach a pharmacy counter that is itself backed up. The grocery store's cleaning supply and medicine aisles, which are often adjacent to or near the pharmacy area, are typically stripped first during health-related panics, meaning the walk to the pharmacy counter involves passing empty shelves in both directions. The practical advice: if you have prescriptions to fill, do it early in any developing situation and use mail-order pharmacy services where available, which are less affected by in-store panic dynamics. If you need over-the-counter items, try to separate that purchase from the pharmacy visit if possible, going to a less trafficked location for OTC items and reserving the pharmacy visit for when you specifically need it. Avoid number 11, Best Buy and electronics retailers. Best Buy and similar electronics retailers become relevant during certain types of panics, specifically those involving extended power outages, communication disruptions, or technology-adjacent emergencies. When the power goes out for an extended period, people suddenly want portable battery packs, hand-crank radios, flashlights, extension cords, surge protectors, and backup batteries. Best Buy carries all of these, and so does its customer base. The pre-hurricane period is the clearest example. Best Buy stores in coastal markets reliably see surges in purchases of portable power stations, battery packs, and weather radios in the days before a storm makes landfall. The problem is that these items are carried in limited quantities. A given Best Buy location might have 10 to 20 portable power stations across several models, and once they're gone, the next shipment is typically days away. The stores are also not designed for emergency shopping. The customer service model at Best Buy involves staff consultation, a sales interaction designed for considered purchasing, not rapid emergency acquisition. In panic conditions, customers who know exactly what they want cannot navigate the floor quickly because the layout requires walking through departments to reach specific items, and staff are occupied with multiple customers simultaneously. If you want portable power equipment or emergency electronics, buy them before the emergency and store them charged and ready. The moment you need them is precisely the moment you will not be able to get them. Avoid number 12, any store in a shared parking lot complex. This is less about a specific type of store and more about a location pattern that consistently creates dangerous conditions during a panic. In most American suburbs, major retailers are clustered in shared parking lot complexes. A Walmart or Target anchored by a Home Depot or Lowe's, surrounded by a CVS, a gas station, a grocery store, and a handful of fast food locations. The parking infrastructure connecting these stores is designed for normal daily traffic distribution across all tenants. When a panic event sends everyone to every one of those stores simultaneously, the shared parking lot becomes a gridlock zone. Drivers circling for spaces, pedestrians crossing between stores with overloaded carts, delivery trucks that cannot reach loading docks because the traffic has backed into their access lanes. The whole system seizes up in a way that makes entering or leaving the complex much harder than it needs to be. This is a documented phenomenon in post-event analyses of major storm preparations. Traffic management studies of the 2017 and 2018 hurricane seasons in Florida and Texas noted that retail corridor congestion became a secondary emergency management problem as residents attempted to complete pre-storm shopping simultaneously. The advice from emergency management professionals in those analyses was consistent. Shop early, shop at off-peak hours, and avoid shared retail corridors on the day before landfall when the shopping surge is at its peak. The 4 safe stores. Safe number 1, ethnic grocery stores and international markets. This is the single most consistently useful tip in any conversation about panic shopping, and it is consistently underutilized by the people who need it most. Ethnic grocery stores, Asian supermarkets, Latin grocery stores, Middle Eastern markets, Indian grocery stores tend to carry large quantities of exactly the shelf-stable staples that become critical during an emergency. Rice, dried beans, lentils, canned goods, dried noodles, cooking oils, and various preserved and fermented items that have very long shelf lives. They carry these items in bulk and in variety because their regular customer base uses them as everyday staples, not as emergency backup. Critically, these stores are almost never the first destination for mainstream panic shoppers. The customers who descend on Walmart looking for bottled water and white bread are not, as a general rule, simultaneously descending on the Korean grocery store 3 blocks away looking for 25-pound bags of short-grain rice. The shelves at ethnic grocery stores during panic events are typically significantly better stocked than their mainstream equivalents because they are not yet on most people's mental map of emergency shopping destinations. Asian supermarkets in particular, H Mart, 99 Ranch, Mitsuwa, and many regional chains, carry inventory depth and product variety that rivals a full-service mainstream grocery store, while operating with a customer base that is not uniformly oriented toward panic response behavior. The same is true of Latin grocery chains like Fiesta Mart or Cardenas, which carry deep inventories of canned goods, dried goods, and produce that remain well-stocked long into a panic event. The recommendation is simple. Know where these stores are in your area before you need them. They are not a secret. They are frequently excellent grocery stores in their own right. They are simply not the first place most people think of when anxiety kicks in. Safe number 2, smaller independent hardware stores. Independent hardware stores, the kind that have been in the same family for 2 or 3 generations, that know their regular customers by name, that carry a curated selection of genuinely useful tools and supplies, are significantly calmer environments during a panic than the big box hardware retailers, and they sometimes have stock that the larger stores have already run through. The business model of a small independent hardware store includes a customer relationship that a Home Depot cannot replicate. When a storm is approaching, a small hardware store owner knows their community and often pre-positions or reserves key items for regular customers. They are also less likely to be overwhelmed by the initial panic surge because they are not the first call destination for most people in a crisis, which means their shelves retain inventory longer. The trade-off is selection. A small independent hardware store will not have 50 models of portable generator. They may have 2 or 3, but if those 2 or 3 are available when Home Depot is empty, that availability is worth considerably more than the theoretical advantage of a broader selection that has already sold out. Safe number 3. Farm supply stores. Tractor Supply Company, Rural King. Farm supply stores are genuinely useful emergency resources for one very clear reason. Their customer base is people who already live without reliable access to just-in-time retail supply chains and who therefore buy in quantities and product types that reflect that reality. The inventory at a Tractor Supply Company or Rural King includes large containers of lamp oil, propane, animal feed that can serve as calorie-dense human food in a pinch, water storage containers, hand tools, and work gloves. Items that are useful in emergencies and that the typical suburban panic shopper is not rushing to a farm supply store to buy. These stores also tend to be located in less congested areas, operate with smaller but more stable customer bases, and carry sufficient inventory depth that a panic surge, when it reaches them at all, which is typically later than mainstream retail, does not immediately strip them bare. Tractor Supply Company operates more than 2,200 stores in 49 states, primarily in small towns and rural areas, but with increasing suburban presence. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Tractor Supply reported strong sales throughout the crisis period as customers sought supplies that were unavailable at mainstream retailers. Importantly, they did not experience the same acute emptying of shelves because their product mix did not overlap as directly with the panic purchasing targets at mainstream stores. Safe number 4, restaurant supply stores. Restaurant supply stores are the best kept secret in emergency preparedness shopping, and they are open to the public at most locations. Restaurant Depot, GFS, Gordon Food Service, stores, and similar operations carry food in commercial quantities, cases of canned goods, large bags of rice and dried beans, institutional-sized containers of cooking oil, and commercial quantities of cleaning supplies, at prices that are often lower than retail. During a panic, restaurant supply stores are almost never the target of mainstream consumer panic purchasing for a simple reason. Most people don't know they exist or assume they require a business license to enter. Restaurant Depot does require a membership, but obtaining that membership is straightforward and inexpensive. GFS stores are open to the public without a membership requirement in most markets. The inventory depth at a restaurant supply store is calibrated for the demands of commercial kitchens that need to feed hundreds of people per service. A case of 24 cans of tomatoes, a 50-pound bag of rice, or a commercial container of hand soap represents a single order for a small restaurant. For a household, it represents a significant supply. The store is not emptied by a panic-buying surge that would strip a conventional grocery store because the quantities involved make individual consumer panic purchasing less impactful against the total available inventory. As one food service industry professional summarized it, "Our customers buy by the case every week. 100 retail customers panic buying couldn't make a dent in a week's inventory." The pattern across every panic event, every hurricane, every health crisis, every major storm, is that the people who fare best are the ones who either prepared before the panic started or knew where to go when everyone else was going somewhere else. The stores on the avoid list are not bad stores. Under normal conditions, most of them are fine. Under panic conditions, they become the same store that everyone else chose, at the same time, for the same things. And that is a situation that no supply chain can fully absorb. The 4 safe options share a common feature. They are off the mental map of the average panicking shopper. The ethnic grocery store, the farm supply store, the independent hardware shop, the restaurant supply outlet. None of these are secret. They are just not the instinctive first choice when anxiety takes over. And that distinction, in a genuine panic, is worth more than any single item on the shelf. If this gave you something useful to think about, hit that like button and subscribe. There is a lot more practical information worth knowing before you need it.